In this video, we are going to see how to scrape a website with Octoparse. I know we have already made a tutorial regarding that topic, but the point is that the video you are currently watching is not a tutorial. It will be more something like a guideline, meaning what are the different steps you have to follow while scraping a website. And in my opinion, it is as important as the technical part itself, because when we create a tutorial, usually we don't mention what are the different steps. We simply go straight to the point, and maybe it's a mistake. So it's time to fix it and to give you more the theory behind web scraping with Octoparse. By the way, if you want to try out this tool, you can find the link in the description and you can benefit from a 20% discount. First of all, before scraping a website, the first step is to analyze the website. And I know it sounds silly to say, but the reason why I'm mentioning it, it's because a lot of beginners are actually not doing it, and that's a huge mistake. You don't have to just jump blindly into the website because it looks easy, but you will quickly find out that it was not the case. So before scraping a website, even if it's the easiest one possible, you always have to ask yourself a couple of questions. And the first one is, what would I do if I have to collect the data by making copy pastes? For example, if I want to gather, the price of books, I have to do something like this. I copy this one, then I copy that one, then I copy that one, and so on. And then I click on the next page button in order to repeat the same process over and over again. And once I'm aware of this, I am more likely to create a workflow which suits my need. What's more is that you have to determine the goal of the scraping, and this is particularly the case regarding the data fields you want to extract. Usually a common mistake people do is that they tend to over extract data, meaning they extract 20 columns, 30 columns and so on, but they only need like 3 or 4 columns. In other words, it's not because you have access to more data than needed that you have to scrape it all. Another question you have to ask, this is the case for Octoparse, but this is also the case for any other web scraping tool, is that can I do it with the specific tool, right? Because Octoparse is a powerful web scraping tool, but it cannot do everything, and that's important to keep that in mind. For example, Octoparse is, at the moment we speak, pretty bad regarding Captchas. So if you encounter Captcha, Octoparse might not be the proper solution for you. And the last thing is there an easier way of doing it? Maybe this question is more useful if you know a little bit how to code, but I'm going to take you like 2 examples. Sometimes sitemaps can help you to get the data faster, or sometimes you can even find APIs, official APIs or non-official APIs. It can work too, and they can definitely help you to gather your data faster. For example, if I take a website such as eurosender.com, I know this website contains a sitemap. So if I add robots.txt, I can see that the sitemap is that one. But by the way, what is a sitemap? To define it clearly, it's a kind of inner file which is used for SEO purposes. Within that file, we can find sometimes useful things, sometimes useful URLs, and it might be the case here because, as you can see, within that sitemap, I have access to over XML files, over XML URLs, depending on the language. So EN, PT, DE, FR. So if I want to get the French XML, I can do something like this, and I will have access to more URLs and so on and so on. Another example can be related to the scrape of tweets on Twitter. Makes sense. You can scrape tweets with Octoparse, but it's really not convenient. What you can do instead is click on Inspect, and within your Network tab, you can find a way to scrape tweets. I'm not gonna explain it further because that's not the whole point, but just be aware that sometimes if you are a little bit curious, you can find easier ways of doing something, of scraping data. Now let's assume you have analyzed everything. It's time to setting up your task in Octoparse. And I've written that you have to start with the pagination. The pagination, in case you have forgotten it, it's the idea that we click on the next page button in order to scale our workflow to scale things up. And this is what allows us to go from extracting 20 results to 2000 results. So if I have to do something for a costumer, I will start with the pagination first, because I want to check if the pagination is working. As simple as that. Because sometimes websites set up a limit. You know what? I'm just gonna show you an example. Here we are on Amazon.com and it's written that there are over 20,000 results for shoes. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you can retrieve all 20,000 items. Usually there is a limit, and in that case you cannot get past page 7. It's easier to add a confirmation data, and that confirmation data will be the current page. Actually, it's pretty easy to do it. In that case, I can extract that data, page 1 out of 50. So once I've reached the page 2, it will be written page 2 of 50. Sometimes it might be a bit harder, but in most cases, it's possible. Then ideally, you just create a second task on Octoparse, and in that second task, you verify your loop item. So the loop item, in case you have forgotten it, it's the idea of creating a loop for each and every one of your items. Again, it does make sense as its name suggests. In that case, an item is equal to a book. So it will be something like this. This is an item, this is another item, this is a third item, and so on. And for each of these items, we can also add some confirmation data. Confirmation data is very powerful because in case you have a problem with your task, thanks to the confirmation data, you can roughly know where the problem is located. When we are writing code, it's called debugging the code. An example of a confirmation data can be the URL of the main listing page or the URL of detailed pages, sometimes metadata, more like data overall outside the loop. If I show you that really quick, blah blah, element data, boom. And an example of a confirmation data can be the page URL, or it can be the number of results displayed. In that case, I'm selecting a piece of data which is outside my loop. Then it's time to extract your data, fields. And one important thing, it's a minor detail, but details are really important when you provide a professional result. To keep it short, you have to keep your data clean, meaning you can remove unnecessary blank spaces. You can easily do it on Octoparse. If I click on More, Clean Data, I can add a step and I can trim spaces. Then I have access to 3 options: trim start, trim end, or trim both. In that case, you can see it doesn't change anything because the data has been correctly formatted, but sometimes it's not the case and you have to do it. And in overall, you have to start small. You don't have to extract like all 20 data fields at once. It will be a waste of time at the beginning. It is usually something you do at the very end, once you have verified that the whole process is working, meaning you have checked that the pagination is working, that the loop item is correct, and that 2 or 3 data fields looks okay in the final result. Finally, a couple of things you have to remember. Again, start small. Test with 30 data rows before extracting 10,000 data rows. It does make sense, but a lot of beginners are not doing this way, and it is paramount to repeat it. Really, this is the number 1 rule. If you get blocked because of a captcha or whatever, don't insist. It is just stupid. It won't help. Keep your cool, take a break, and change your approach. If you can't scrape the website, that's fine, just find another way of doing it, or just you can scrape another website. There is always an alternative website somewhere. And finally, scraping takes time. Sometimes it takes a lot of time, believe me, but AI can help, and all of these are life saviors. This is the end of the video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If it's the case, you can subscribe. There is nothing else to see. Bye!